Hello, I'm Rebecca Bradley. This is the Virtual Crime Book Club. It is Monday, the 11th of November now, 2024, and we are discussing Fatal Isles by Maria Adolfsson. There will be spoilers involved, so if you're watching a recording of this, you may want to finish the book or read it before you watch. Before the recording got going, a couple of members have said that they haven't quite finished, so they may have to drop out because we are quite spoilery. So, we still have hi Muriel, Lynn, and Verena. Your Lynn and Verena, your visual isn't on. I don't know if you are aware and if you can hear us. Ah, there's Lynn.
Yes, I don't see anything at the moment.
Right, do you want to log out and log back in again? That sometimes works. It's like turning it off.
I tried.
On. We'll just give her a second to log in. Is everybody okay?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's in Spain, are they? No, that's good.
I was aware my video wasn't on. I just was running late, had to brush my hair.
Well, I was as well, Lynn. I went to log in and it said, no logging in until you've updated and installed. So, yeah, I had to do that. Okay, don't know.
Well, while we're waiting, I just realized I read Cold as Hell.
What, instead of Fatal Isles?
I realize, and I have that book because I usually go through the books, and if I see one I like, I go ahead and get it. But for some reason, I think because on my screen it came up first, and I didn't realize that I went ahead whenever we nominate the books, and I just get the ones that I think I'll like, and I'm planning to read it. So I'll try to forget what I hear. Sorry. not a good month for me at all.
And did you enjoy Cold as Hell? Did you enjoy?
I did enjoy Cold as Hell. I was surprised, and it does. And when somebody said something about it started with the next book, this Cold as Hell ends, and it's pulling you into the next book also. So, but it wasn't a bad book. So yes, I did like it. I hope Fatal Isles is good.
I know what you mean, though, about the nominated books that we vote on, that I often have to put a marker against them that I want to read them at some point, because there usually is quite a good selection up on there. Okay, I think Verena must be struggling. We will. Oh no, she's logging in. Let's see if we've got visual. No visual. Verena, if you're happy to just do it without visual, we can carry on because we can hear you. You are on mute, though, I think. Okay, it's 10 past, so I'm gonna start. So the usual question, though, we've got a bit of a difficult group in here today in regards to having read wrong books, not quite completed it. Did you enjoy Fatal Isles if you read it, Ellen? We've got a couple of. Did anybody enjoy it?
I did.
You did.
In parts.
I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Right. Do you want to say why you enjoyed it? Or what you enjoyed about it?
I really liked the setting. I thought the setting was fabulous. There was so much detail in there about Doggerland and the politics and the food and the festival. I thought she did a brilliant job of that.
I liked all the character development because there is lots of information about the characters. There are lots of characters. And I also like the setting, and I like the style. Okay, it could have been a bit shorter, maybe. It could be maybe 50 pages less. At some point, it drags a bit.
You would have been able to finish it too. 5%
but no, I'm almost there. And yeah, I enjoyed it.
The
I
setting
found it
was really good.
good with the setting, and I think I felt like the first part was a lot more slow moving than the end. It kind of like rushed up. So if anything, that was a bit of a imbalance for me. So I'm curious because Craig, you mentioned like okay, and I wonder if you had finished it till the end, you would have changed your mind. Because I think for me, as I got to the end, I liked it more and more, and it kind of like I liked the flow by the end.
All right. So did you think it was a little bit slow at the beginning?
Oh yes.
And Vera, you thought it could have done with cutting down. So is that because of
just a little bit?
pace?
Yeah, it's
Well, I
really a
think it was
slow
the
burn
first
because at the
third of the
beginning there
book.
are lots of details about loads of things, and everything that is presented, she gives lots of background, which I like. But even when she's saying, "Oh, this I don't know, this why I witnessed did this," then she goes back and she tells the story of this person, and so there is lots of background information about lots of things, which is interesting, and I like this. I enjoy this type of books. But yeah, sometimes it dragged a bit, so it could be slightly shorter. But yeah, I enjoyed it.
It
Jackie,
took a
what were
long
you going to
time for
say?
it to become
sorry.
sorry, I was saying it took a long time for me for it to become a page turner because it was like slow, and then okay, now I want to know what happens next.
Are you the kind of person to give up usually on a book if it is slow?
No.
No.
No, so you would have carried on to the end and got there anyway. Jackie, you were speaking. What did you want to say?
I was saying exactly the same. I think the first third of the book seemed really slow, and then I got into it and I really enjoyed it. But I don't give up on books. I think if I'd had been a giver upper, I'd have done it.
Yeah.
It was slow.
I think the problem was she spent so long describing everywhere that was like the first, I don't know, 5-6 chapters I felt. And I felt if it needed that much description, why not just put an extra map of the town at the beginning as well as the other maps? And then she wouldn't have had to say we had this street and that street and the next street and the next street, you know?
I mean,
I'd be interested to hear from you, Rebecca,
right?
how that came across as an audiobook, because it was boring reading it.
I listened to the audiobook, and as I said in my email, I didn't finish it. And I
don't know, but I meant there's those beginning chapters where, you know, it was all description about the place.
Yeah, it was difficult in the beginning when I was listening to it, and all those strange names and all those strange locations, and I thought, oh, who is who? And then the community with so many people, but somehow it grew on me. I thought it had some depth, and I wanted to know more about it. In the end, I loved it. But I understand what you're saying, and I really felt the same. The beginning was hard to get into, and I think even more so when listening to it.
I liked it from the beginning.
Yeah, I did.
But on the other hand, I do agree with Vera, is it could have been edited a bit, but I'm not sure exactly where it could be edited. And I actually Googled to see if Doggerland, because I've never heard of it, was a real place. And, you know, it is a real place. So it's really interesting.
I thought it was a good book from the start. I got into it straight away and didn't leave it to the end. I didn't think it was slow or too long or anything like that. Actually, I think I was in the mind of the main detective, really.
You felt she came across really well, did you?
To me, yeah. I mean, it's not everybody's cup of tea with the habits she had and the bad living, but I don't know. She spoke to me, if you want.
Yeah. And what was it that you enjoyed about it, Vera? Verena, sorry.
I liked Karen's character. She was so ambiguous in a way. She, on the one hand, she had this heart, this big heart, the way she treated the homeless, the way she treated Sigrid, and then she was so lost, and she had such a bad experience, and this guilt from her accident, and I really felt for her. But and I thought in the end, when she was hurt so much, I thought that was incredible. I really felt for her. And I liked other characters too. I liked her mom. I liked Sigrid, and so I wanted to know, how does this work out? And of course, it was interesting to find out who murdered Suzanne and her husband. I mean, he was an awful character, but as well, it was interesting, the dynamics between the characters. I like that.
Yeah. For anybody that joined and maybe didn't hear a discussion with Craig at the beginning, he hasn't read the end of the book, so we're going to not put spoilers in until we get to that point, and we'll let Craig and maybe Vera log out as well.
No, I didn't hear that. My internet was not working properly, and I had so much difficulties getting.
But I heard it coming, and my fingers were in my ears.
She didn't say anything though, so we're all right. No, that's why I thought I would repeat it, because I didn't have a couple that logged in later than I logged in late. So the readers that kind of were on the fence about the book, what was it that you didn't enjoy about it?
Well, for me, everything's been said. I struggled with the characters' names and the place names and the area names. I found myself trying to pronounce them rather than just flowing through the story. And there was so many characters, and so many new names, and I'm like, who's this now? And you know, that was it. And I felt also, I think Lorna said it, completely always describe. Although I do like that, but there was so much of it. And if the book had been a little bit shorter, it probably helped. But I don't know who said it. I'm on 75%, and I'm starting to quite enjoy it now. So I think possibly this last sort of 25% I'll fly through. But it has been a struggle certainly up until halfway through the book. I'll never put it down. I'll have to finish it, but it was really a struggle for me at times.
Yeah. It was Divya that said that about it picking up pace towards the end. But can I phrased it badly when I said, do you give up on books? Because it just sounds like you're giving up. I just think I do not finish. I say I do. It's a DNF. Did not finish, because there are so many other books that I want to read that I just think, if I'm not enjoying it, then I'm not gonna. And I rarely do that, particularly with a book club book. But I just didn't have the time to keep pushing through this month. Anybody else want to say why they weren't enamoured with the book?
Well, part of the joy of reading this kind of book is to try and figure out who did it. But we had really no suspects, which you kind of thought, where is this going? Yeah. And I think, no, if I can't, there is no puzzle to it for most of the book. And then I think, certainly towards the end, it became very obvious. So I think that aspect of the twist was missing for me.
Right. So it didn't feel like they were interviewing a person and lining people up for potential
Yeah,
suspects.
there didn't seem to be any sort of little bits dropped here and there to make you think, oh, well, that could be
which
that's
is strange
interesting.
for Nordic noir, right? This is not really Nordic noir, right? Because Nordic noir we always have this herrings, right?
Yes.
With Nordic noir, you always have like, I don't know, 5 different suspects before you reach the end. So you start eliminating people. It's true. I also did not expect anyone. Now I think I know what is going on, but only now that I'm like 90-something%.
Yeah. I think it's not fair that there's still a lot of things that have to be said before you can have a whole picture. And it's beyond halfway through. And that's why it's not very fair, I think, if you're trying to guess.
Yes, yeah. So we'll start with, I think the first comment when I asked if you enjoyed it was about Doggerland. And I did find that really evocative descriptions of the place, the people, the way they lived. Did you feel like you understood and knew the place, and was it an extra character for you?
I did. I felt it was a really good. It is a made-up place, isn't it?
It is. Though there is a Doggerland,
but not there,
which is under the sea. It has been for quite a while.
I thought it was real because I looked it up and they had pictures of it. But is that pictures under the sea then?
It existed, but it was like 5,000 years ago.
Yeah.
It sunk.
Yeah, I googled, and there's a place called Doggerland, and it is submerged a couple of thousand of years ago. But then I read something else that she based it on another place that does exist. So I don't know.
I just looked at the pictures. I didn't read any text, so that's why I didn't realise it was buried under the sea.
Yeah, but it is fictional. Yes. Did you bring it alive for everybody?
It did. She did for me because I felt it was. I don't know if she based the weather and all the geography on other places that are placed like this one, very northern, and with in between continents and all that. It's felt like really real to me, like somewhere it really existed. But I've read other books where they've done the same thing, and they must study the geography of the area or things like that. But they put things that are quite believable, if you want,
Yeah, because the theme this month was Nordic noir, as Vera said, and I think part of Nordic crime for me actually is the setting that they managed. I think they managed to set up the location really well, which I thought worked well in Fatal Isles.
Yeah, I think her descriptions, and you could imagine this bleak island sort of idea. Yeah. But one of the things, because you know how I get hooked up on minor details that just niggle away at me. And in this one, it was a case of, that all these places and shops and bars were all shut down because, they were going out of business. And I thought, if you're situated where you are, they would have owned all the North Sea oil. They should have been rolling in it.
You do
have just had a few folk going off to work
on
rigs. It would have been all been theirs.
Yeah.
But like I say, that's just one of these little pedantic bits that get to me.
Yeah, I think she just probably wanted that cold bleak setting. So Karen, or Karen as it is in the audio, which is great for audio for translated because you get the names. What did you think of her as a character? Because I read about half, there seemed to be secrets, and she was very flawed because she had that relationship on the first page. What did you think about her as a protagonist, being this flawed police officer?
But aren't they always a bit flawed in these Nordic crime novels? If I watch some of them on TV, I think they're all a bit strange men and have problems and drinking problems and
They're
other
usually alcoholic. They suffered a
there is
lot
no
because
such thing
I
as a
read
happy
the
family
Harry
man
Ball series.
detective.
Oh my god!
I don't know.
Or
Is
women.
it part of this genre? I don't know, but I really liked her.
Yeah, I did.
Because she has, as I said, she has these ambiguities, but what I strongly felt, she is a great character, but things have happened to her and have made her the way she is. And and she had to struggle. I mean, all these men in the office, except of Carl, I think, they were all nasty characters, weren't they? And it was so hard for a woman to stand up for herself, and I think she did a good job.
I liked her, but I don't think her character was that unusual, because you get similar characters in like Val McDermid novels, you know, a strong woman who's flawed, who has to fight against the establishment and, you know, is up against men getting better work or getting a job before her. But saying that, I still did like her character.
I thought it was very interesting because she came across as, you know, kind of an introvert. She was kind of fairly depressed with her past and everything. And so, like you mentioned, Rebecca, at the start, where immediately she's made a decision that she regrets and, you know, she sleeps with Jonas. If you had put that after I understood her character, I would not have guessed that she would have done that. It felt out of character, and I felt that gave her character depth. Because if it hadn't started with that and it just went on with, you know, yes, she would have felt a little bit more flat to me. So that gave her depth.
I also like the way she speaks, or she has quite a lot of repartees whenever people say things to her. She's never speaks in stereotypes. That's what I liked.
It did make me smile, actually. She had some back and forth with the old guys in the bar when we met them. And I did enjoy the way that she had this back and forth with them. Did you think she could have dealt with the obvious misogyny any other way than just pushing through?
She didn't have much support from anywhere else. So I think the way she did it was the only way she could do it. I don't know.
Yeah, I suppose because she was the only woman, unless somebody else appeared later on.
But there was Carl,
support network. There was.
Was it Astrid? There was another
Astrid,
woman, right?
I think.
Astrid. Yeah. What did she
do?
Astrid?
Yeah, who went to work in a different part of Doggerland.
It was Astrid, yeah. Astrid, who broke up with her husband, yeah.
Even the island itself, because it's like a small place and people are quite traditional, and because the old guys would call her like lady officer and things like that. So there is this feeling of misogyny throughout the book, right? So it's the entire place. It's a bit.
Yes. I agree. The whole place does seem to be rooted in decades further back than we actually are. What did you think, talking about the first page, about her decision to not say anything to the investigation team, at least immediately?
That's not very likely for a police officer, I would say. But there wouldn't be a story.
I don't know, because it would be difficult for her to say something like this. First, she will not be in charge of the investigation, this one or any other, I guess. I don't know. She was in a difficult position.
Sorry, can I just jump in and I'd say, because I'm going to go now because I think we're getting near. I really do want to read the end of it. I really like.
No, we really are still at the beginning.
Okay, but I just really like the character. I really rooted for her because of everything you've just said, the difficulties she faced, the only woman, but not the only woman, but the only woman certainly of power. Yeah, there's certainly the chief of police was against her. I think the prosecutor was a supporter of her, but even when where I am now, the husband's come back and they've got those rapes in the other parts, and a lot of the resources will go to that one. So she's sort of back on her own, really, except the chap that's with her, but he's going soon. I think Divya's right. I'm getting to that point where I'm starting to turn the pages, and I really want to go for it. Anyway, guys, I'm going to go. Have a great rest of the meeting because I do not want to hear any more.
Right. No, honestly, you can stay and I will tell you when we're going to jump on to the ending if you want.
No, I'm going to go because I think something will slip out. I really don't want to.
Okay. Thank you for joining anyway. See you later.
Bye.
Bye. I think, or do you think that the misogyny that she's faced is one of the reasons that she hasn't come clean?
Yeah, I think so. Sure.
Because can you imagine the what she'd have had to deal with? Not just not being lead investigator, but then the way the men would have dealt with it with her.
She would have been the butt of a joke for a long time. You know, a man can do it, but not her. She's a woman.
I'm really glad actually that Carl got to know.
Yeah.
But I'm actually very glad that the rest did not. I think I would have been quite upset by how they would have treated her.
Yes. It wasn't a great office. I don't know the answer to this, but was there an effect for the investigation in her not revealing?
I didn't think so.
No, we don't. No. Okay.
The effect was that I think that because she always went to interview him on her own, it obviously made everybody else sort of a bit sort of wary as to why she was, hogging that bit of the investigation, I think, and not being open.
Yes, I did pick up on.
But it didn't
she was going alone, and they were making comments.
Yeah,
but it didn't go beyond that.
No, I don't think.
Yeah,
no. But it didn't make the working relationship of our team any bit easier.
No.
But in a way, I was glad also, I guess I'm saying the same thing, but when Carl found out, because that ensured that there was objectivity. Because just like I think what Vera and Muriel was saying, I didn't think that her holding back the information was impeding the investigation. But when Carl knew, then it's like there's a third party to verify and make sure things are on the way. So it was a good balance.
Checks and balances are in place once he knew. Yeah. So on to the murder victim. Suzanne didn't come across very well from the minute they started speaking to people about her. Not even her family were grieving for her. Did having such an unlikable victim did it change the way the investigation went? Or did it change the way you cared about where the investigation went?
No. I was more... interested in the way they were doing it. It's always like the same with me. I'm more interested in the way they do it. So the victim can be anybody really. So it didn't have an effect for me.
Does it make a difference that she was never on the page as such? She was a body and they were just talking about her. If she'd have had scenes on the page, would that have made her more unlikable and difficult to be interested in?
I suppose it would have depended how she came over on the page, or was it that her neighbours and family perceived her as being unlikable? Yes. But we, as a reader, you might have liked her.
Well, there was one. Sorry. There was one bit when Sigrid talked about her and said what she said about the police, the main police officer, the nasty comments that she had for Karen. That's somehow, in a way it didn't really matter, but it just added to the bad character, really.
Well, that's a good point, Lorna.
Nice thing to. Oh, sorry, she didn't say a nice thing to Karen herself in the supermarket, or it was a store or something she made that unkind comment. So that didn't help either.
Yeah. But it's a good point about it being off the page and you talking about a murder victim, in that it's other people's perception that you're dealing with and not actual facts, unless there is corroborating evidence of the way this person behaved. Sorry, Verena, you were going to say something as well.
Yes, but I thought it's a spoiler, so I don't.
No, go ahead. I'm almost done. I'm going to finish just after this, so I'm totally fine. Go ahead.
Are you sure?
Yeah, no, I'm sure. I'm truly.
We get to know her in the end, so we see what a nasty bitch she is.
So she really was as unlikable as people.
We wouldn't have liked her anyway if we had seen her.
But then, was it justified in that she had this sort of unusual upbringing? She got married to somebody, they obviously didn't get on. It wasn't, the wealthy marriage she thought it was going to be. She was obviously such a disappointment, and did a lot of her bitterness come from that? Because Karen can't remember her as being as particularly nasty as a child. So you kind of wonder, is it life it's made her like that, rather than and was it justified the way that it was Anders, her husband?
It was the detective, the one that was suspended.
Jounas.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't come across as though he'd been a very nice husband, and obviously wasn't a happy marriage. And then to find out that he, his father had been buying up all her land, she had nothing, all thanks to him.
It was a quick decision to do the murder, though, wasn't it? I mean, she's had a hard life, but she didn't, think about it too long before deciding what she was going to do.
Well, she saw an opportunity. I mean, it wasn't that quick.
It was about 3 weeks.
Because it's only really at the end you realise that she had been in touch with it.
Yeah, but she'd only been in
months.
No, I don't think it was only a few weeks.
I think it was longer than that.
They'd actually met up with each other. And anyway, there's no excuse, is there really?
No.
But the letter she wrote to her daughter was just horrible.
Oh, yeah.
How can a mother write such a letter? I mean, even though she had a difficult upbringing and things didn't go right for her, but
I don't want to do much of a spoiler before the end, but I do have a question maybe a bit later on about the logistics, because I don't think practically it works out how she did it.
I guess that Suzanne is not dead, right? She's the killer of her sister.
Her sister is dead. So my question is, how did she get back on the cruise ship? Because her car was still at her house. She murdered the sister at the house.
Yeah, and then she drove off back to the cruise ship and got onto the cruise ship as her sister.
As her sister.
I know, but what about the car? The car was left.
It was just left abandoned.
No, it was outside the house, wasn't it?
No, it was a bit further.
Because everybody had heard it driving off.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. So was it found at the ferry place?
It was found somewhere, but I can't remember where.
She must have walked the rest for quite a while.
Yeah.
So before
we meet her or see her, maybe.
Nobody.
Or was it before she had murdered her sister?
Wasn't it during Oyster? That's why everybody was out, more or less. So they didn't care. They had alcohol in them, so nobody saw anything.
The best night to do it, wasn't it, that night?
Yeah.
So before we discuss the ending properly, does anybody have anything else they want to talk about prior to the wrap-up ending of the book?
Maybe I have a question.
I've missed out. Sorry, Divya.
One or two people mentioned it, but did everyone find keeping up with the characters as they grew and grew quite difficult? Because one thing I think that helped me get through it is I was reading it online, as in I was reading the ebook, and when you tap any phrase, you can find the previously used type of phrase. So what I would do is I would just keep tapping the names, especially the ones I didn't know how to pronounce, and see where it was previously to keep track of who was who. But I did feel that if I didn't have that, it would have thrown me off quite a bit to keep up with the story.
Yeah, I have X-ray in Kindle, so that's useful. But I think that's always the case with the Nordic noir. They always have lots of characters. The names are a bit strange for us. And
there's a lot of characters.
I was okay because I probably have read so many noir that the names to me are just normal. So yeah, I didn't find that a problem at all. But it's probably because I've been reading so many of them.
And also some of the characters you know already that they don't matter that much. So it's like, I don't care.
Jacqueline, you wanted to say something. I think you're on mute.
Oh, she has no
I'm not on mute.
Oh, right. We can hear you now.
Right. No, I ended up writing down all the characters and I couldn't keep track. I actually had 2 pages and sort of tracked them along because I couldn't remember who was married to whom or divorced from. I found it confusing.
So, Jackie and Divya, you made actual effort to keep track of characters by coming out and either writing them down or looking on the ebook. Does that not take you out of the story when you're doing that?
Not for me, because it's just like a tap, a bit like what Vera said, like a X-ray, and so I would immediately get to where the person was there, and I did that for places as well, actually, both names and places. So it was fine for me, but possibly that's why by the end of the book, I'm a bit more vested in the characters. I think a number of other people also said that the characters kind of grew on them, and that's why I've actually started reading the second book, just because. Now that you've mentioned so many characters, okay, what were they all for? I want to know. And I think especially with the ending, I guess we are already talking about possible ending, right? Like when Leo is he kind of comes out of nowhere, and what is he doing? Like, what's going to happen next with Leo is what I really wanted to know. Or how is he going to cat sit forever?
Yes. And Jackie, does it not throw you out of the book having to log names?
To be honest, I don't think I would have got to I think I'd have given up if I hadn't.
So it was more
but
helpful.
once I got to them, it was about a third into the book. I was really able to get interested in it and enjoy it. And towards the end, yes, I was gripped.
So the ending, before the reveal, did anybody figure it out? Because it was said earlier that there wasn't a list of suspects to choose between. So did anybody actually get there before the reveal?
I only suspect. I didn't finish it, but I suspected that Susan was not dead, that her sister was dead, that Susan had killed her. When Karen, she was calling the sister, she was calling Anne, and they had this phone call that was very weird. And I was like, no, this cannot be right. Then they are twins, and DNA should be the same. So Susan is quite ambitious. This lady is rich, so I'm pretty sure she's the killer, not the victim. But only then. So it's like 80% of the book or something.
I thought the same when they were revealed as twins. I thought it was a possibility.
Oh, I thought as soon as you knew it was twins, you're going, the only reason you put identical twins into a noir book is for an exchange of characters. Yeah. But you always knew there was something, like that her mother was never, Suzanne's mother was never her mother, because we have all these throwbacks and flashbacks into the commune. Told that she can't, her mother can't have children.
Yeah, I knew from the start it was Imelda's child.
Yeah.
That was, I think, obvious. I didn't know if it was the parent
it was only when it was revealed as twins was the only really twist. And then, like I say, once you knew it was twins, you kind of figured it out.
Yeah, I should have worked it out from the moment, because I kept thinking the DNA is DNA of Suzanne. Of course, identical twins have the same DNA. Why didn't I remember that at the time? Anyway,
I think this is a sign.
We're told throughout how horrible Suzanne is as well. What a terrible person she is, and there's nothing good about her at all. So we'll throw that in with the fact that she has an identical twin, and it sort of seemed inevitable.
Yeah.
So we were led to the right place, that Suzanne really wasn't a good person. So the clues were in there. You just didn't have other options, I suppose, of suspects. But it was laid out that Suzanne really wasn't a good person. But the fact that everybody guessed the minute twins were mentioned shows how much crime fiction as a group we read, because I think some people just wouldn't have got that. Were you surprised? Well, no, you weren't actually. Not many of you anyway. By the fact that it was Suzanne. So were you satisfied with it?
Well, it's not nice for Sigrid.
I'd have to say that was one of the things I couldn't really wrap my head around, is how come Karen and Sigrid was a daughter, wasn't it? How come they became so close? There's nothing in the book that made you think, oh yeah, Karen is going to be this motherly type, or that Sigrid was going to relate to anyone. So I just found that a very difficult to understand how they became so close so quick.
But I thought she was missing her son, and she always thought that Sigrid could have been a friend of her son or something like this. So she is adopting her in a sort of way, she lives her motherhood.
But there's nothing in her character in the book beforehand that she's done this with anyone else. So it just seemed an odd choice to have Sigrid.
Maybe she didn't have the opportunity for a long time. Sigrid was arrived at the right time, maybe.
It just seemed odd to me.
Well, it's also the fact Sigrid herself, why did she suddenly look up to this woman?
Yeah.
I mean...
Because the first time I met the daughter, she was very standoffish and didn't care and want to talk about what had happened.
But at the same time, she's quite fragile. She had just broken up with her boyfriend. She's very young. She had lost her mom. She doesn't get along with her dad. And at the end, she's young and she was quite fragile and she was in this period of her life. And I think it was just the right time to look up someone that was nice to her.
Yeah. And that's what Karen wasn't patronizing her. She was accepting her the way she was. And so I think she felt safe with her.
It must have been instinctive between the two.
If it all felt natural for you, that's okay. It just I didn't see these people becoming close. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh no, we all read books in a different way, don't we? Which is great for
oh yeah,
group discussions, because we all take something different away from the very same book that we've read, and we all pick up different things.
There was one thing that Susan said to Karen towards the end, where she said, "She is my daughter, she's not yours." It feels like she also felt that the two were too close before anyone else. I don't know.
And I was going to say that I actually felt that Karen or Karen herself was surprised, just like you, Lorna, about her relationship with Sigrid. It wasn't something that she was looking for, I felt. And maybe it's because I've just read the first few pages of the second book, so no like spoiler or anything. But in fact, I think it's at the end of the first book. There's already a section given. But like she just talks about how she still can't believe Sigrid is in her life. Like, where did this come from? If this puzzle piece doesn't fit. So it's interesting because I think we can see, or some of us can see that link, but it's almost like Karen feels like Yulona, as in, where did this come from? Why are we friends?
Okay. Yeah, so it is addressed then in a way for enough for you. Okay. Is there anything that we have missed out that you want to discuss?
I assume that the rapes might move on to the next book, possibly, and more investigation into that, because they're not resolved.
Right. I would imagine so then, yeah. So, is anybody likely to read the next book in the series?
Not immediately, just because you say there's so many books to read, but I wouldn't rule it out. Yeah,
I think it felt very much like a first book that was quite slow to start with, set the scene, and then got going. So it makes you think that you should read the next one to give it a chance.
Right, yes.
If that makes sense.
So the first book is the slow section, and the series picks up.
Yeah.
Is what you think might happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, could do.
And the first book setting all the characters and the scene and the places. Now we've gotten all that laid down. Yes. Possibly for the second book, Jacqueline won't have to add new names because now she has her whole dictionary list.
No. Yes, there are a lot of characters to keep track of. Right, I'm going to stop the recording unless anybody has anything else they want to say about the book. No. Okay, let me just... They've moved it, haven't they? Bear with me. Leaving it right thing. There we go. Meeting. Stop.